Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the back bar. I have one of my great friends and awome boss babes, Jess of J. Robertson Events here. Say hi to
What's
everyone,
up?
Jess.
What's up to the listeners?
Right.
Can't get over it.
Well, this is Jess's first podcast, so we're going to experience all the greatness that it is going to be.
All
So,
the things.
yes, all the things. So, Jess, go ahead and just tell everybody a little bit
Yeah.
about your business.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Hi. My name is Jess, Jessica Robertson. I go by Jess. Nobody calls me Jessica. I don't know how or when it started, but Jess it is. I am the owner, planner, brainchild behind J. Robertson Events. And we do everything from month of planning to partial planning to full service wedding and event planning. So not just wedding spectrum, but full event, anything you could ever imagine. I throw parties for the fun of it.
And she's damn good at it, I must
I don't know.
say.
It's honestly, it's funny because I have so many friends that are like, "Oh my gosh, you were born to do this." And I'm like, honestly, it's an illness. It's an illness.
You're all, it could be in my DNA somewhere, but it's also an illness. So keep that going.
It's a disease.
And Jess and I actually met because our husbands work together and are really great
Yeah.
friends. So they work together at UPS.
Yeah.
So we've gone on cruises and had
Yeah.
barbecues and shared some milestones. She helped us coordinate our wedding the day of and
Mhm.
gave me great, helpful advice and tips along the way when I thought I was going to lose my mind. Because you've never planned a wedding if you didn't do that at
What we're
least
here
two
for.
times.
It's true. It's true. If you're not, I always tell my couples, if you're not arguing with your family and if you're not having a mental breakdown at least once, it's part of the experience. Like, obviously, when you hire our team, like, we're there to take it all off of you. But listen, it's a rite of passage.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you didn't have a wedding if you didn't have a breakdown at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
once.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's over stupid things, it's fine.
Yeah. So we're here to just kind of talk about being women in business, owning our own business,
Yeah.
working for ourselves. I have a lot of friends that I just graduated with who are looking to do makeup, even some of
Yeah.
the SDs I still talk to that are about to finish really love makeup, and they're always talking about like the wedding industry and prom makeup and all of this stuff. So I thought, who better to pick their brain about that than you?
It's
So
me.
the neat thing about Jess is that she started her business literally like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And here she is years later, still kicking ass. So, why don't you kind of walk us through your thought process and that time when you're like, I just got to do it. I just got to be all
Hmm.
in. I'm going to do it. What was that like for you? What were like the emotions like?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you ask me, it was chill. If you ask my husband, I'm a psychopath. So we were definitely on like a little bit of two different brain wavelengths there. But I guess if we really back up, doing all of that in the height of pandemic, I come from the hospitality industry. So my background is from high-end luxury resorts between here and up in Phoenix, Scottsdale. So I've got a lot of background in the event industry from realistically a bunch of different aspects.
Right.
Um, not just like event planning. So I did sales. I started parking cars backwards. I've started in valet. I have audio visual experience. So like it really, really like spans insanely wide. But I started in the hospitality industry. And when 2020 happened, I was at a local resort here in Tucson. And it was just, honestly, I always go back to the words that my director of sales and marketing at the time said. He said, I haven't seen things pretty much like plummet this quickly since September 11th. And that's how we kind of knew like, this isn't good.
Yeah, the
This
game
is
changed.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, really, really quickly, in March of 2020, pretty much almost everybody was furloughed. I think they kept, maybe one sales manager and like, I don't even think any event managers, but there was basically like one person on property working from home, but like basically just there to
Mm,
like take calls and kind of handle the clientele that we had at the time. So anyway,
right.
fast forward to I'm home. I have a almost 6-year-old at the time. And I was like, wow, what do I do with myself? Like, this is crazy. I'm home. I don't know if I'm going to go back.
Right.
There was a lot of talk of, oh, we're going to bring you back, but we just don't know when. And like, how could they know when? Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew
Exactly.
what the event world was going to be like specifically. So I'm home. I'm enjoying time with my child and my husband, and I'm cooking dinner for everyone, and I'm cleaning, and we're going on walks every morning. And I was like, I cannot imagine going back and sitting in an office every day.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it. So something that my husband and I had been kind of throwing around at the time for a couple years by this point was somehow to stay home. If I could have my own business, if I could run and do my own events. But what point in your life do you quit your full-time job to do that? You know what I
Right.
mean?
And what does
Like,
that look like in
right.
reality? Yeah.
Right, exactly. And what does it look like? So here I am forced to be home, and I'm like, hey, I think this is it. I think this is where I just dive off the cliff. And I'm not kidding you. Shane looked at me and he's like, are you insane? You're going to start an event business when no one is having events. And I was like, yeah,
You're like, because then
I
that
think.
allows me to take my time.
Yeah,
Because then
I
I'm
was
not
like,
bombarded with all these people wanting my fabulous services.
yeah, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you. I think that now's the time. He was like, well, this is like crazy. And I was like, but hear me out. So that was my thought process was no one is doing anything right now. If I can
Right.
just focus all of my time and energy into figuring out a website and putting together my packages and like all of the things that I needed to do to like get off the ground, if I can just take the time that everyone else is down as well. And then when the event industry comes back, I'm kind of on a level playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like my thought process. I had no idea what it looked like at the time. I'm not kidding when I tell you I was winging it. Like I was winging it, like Pinteresting how to plan a wedding. Like, okay, it was crazy. Now, fast forward or back up to just say, like, I do know how to plan a wedding. I've always known how to plan a wedding. I've always known how to plan events. But when you're in control and there is no roadmap,
Oh,
like
yeah.
something inside of you is like, oh my God, I have to Google this. How do I do this? Is there a YouTube video on this? Like, spoiler alert, there's not.
Right.
There's not. You got to just figure it out. But that's what I did. So I took that time when nobody was doing anything. I just kind of got myself off the ground and told all my friends, hey, I'm not going to go back to the resort. And this is what I'm going to do instead. And tell your friends. And let me tell you something, everyone did just that. Like, you don't know how many people are in your corner
Mm-hmm.
until you've got people in your corner. And I was, to this day, I'm flabbergasted at the amount of people that like came out of the woodwork to help me get off the ground, to help me get my name out there, to help me with styled shoots, just to have some content and material
Right.
to, people who were like, hey, my best friend needs to elope, like their wedding got canceled. Can you help them? And I'm like, sure. Could totally do that. Yeah.
You're like, I got this.
Yeah. So
Watch
yeah,
me
it
work.
was,
Hold my beer.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it went from drinking White Claws in my backyard to holy crap, I run a business.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
And
nuts.
so fast forwarding to now,
Mm-hmm.
what were some key, let's pick 3 things that you wish you could tell yourself, like from the future, like you're gonna want to make sure you do X, Y, and Z.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I wish I didn't wait as long to like create myself a roadmap. I mean, technically, I still don't even think I have like a roadmap, right? Like for how to do my job and basically to
Right.
do what I'm doing. It's kind of always organic and you're always kind of winging it.
Right.
Maybe I would tell myself, don't wait so long to put your process on paper because you're going to want to refer back to
That's
that.
true.
But I think more than anything, I would tell myself, like, you're never going to know what you're doing because here I am, almost, I don't know how many years later, 4 years later,
Yeah.
3 years later, I still don't know what I'm doing. But I think that that's part of when you're in the driver's seat and there is no one to guide you and you're figuring it out and you're trial and error for what works and what doesn't work. I think that's part of the process. And I think it's like hard to be okay with not knowing anything.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like the
especially our kind of
unknown.
personalities and the type
Mm-mm.
A's,
Mm-mm.
what's the backup plan? Who do I call
Yeah.
for X, Y, and Z? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I'm the owner and the face of this business now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have all the answers. And it's just like scary, but I think that so yeah, I would tell myself like don't wait so long to put your process on paper because you do have a process whether you realize it or not. So just kind of put anything on paper, start there and as you tweak it, be okay with that you're never going to have a this is how we do things and it's never going to change because if you're not changing you're not growing and I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with change, so I think that a big thing for my advice to myself would be like it's okay to not know what you're doing and to change your process 18 times. Like it's okay to figure it out as you go.
Yeah. And that's something just even like since I've gotten in the beauty industry and like talking to
Yeah.
other professionals and people that work for themselves or booth rent, my biggest thing that I've been hearing from everyone is you have to be, I don't know if flexible is the right word, but fluid. Things are going to happen
Yes.
organically that you can't
Hmm.
control. So you have to be okay with being able to be fluid and like figure something out. And that's why a lot of
Yeah.
people who do work for themselves or own small businesses tend to be those type A people
Yeah.
because we can get all our ducks in a row, but then we need our assistants and our villages to fall back on like, holy shit, we didn't think a hurricane was going to hit California and screw our
Yeah.
weather this week at this time of year or whatever it is, So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And fast forward to now, something I didn't have when I first started was incredible ladies on my team to help me and kind of guide me through. And I promise you, I would not be nearly successful and we would not have the success stories of events that we have if they weren't with me on event days because the amount of problem solving that we do on a regular
mhm.
basis is just insane. And, I constantly say, like, it's inevitable, on an event day that you're going to change the plan and things are going
Oh
to
yeah.
move and whatever. But like my team, we are so good at problem solving. And I'm like so proud of that because I
Yeah.
think it like shows that we've overcome like not being afraid to change the plan.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that I have been. So for everybody listening and in the same
Hmm.
spot as me, we're just getting started. We got to stay
Yes.
fluid and flexible, guys.
Yes.
If doing some yoga is going to help you be flexible to like work through your day, then do that. Having your cup of coffee or whatever. So talking about
Third.
that, in hindsight, was there anything that you would have changed about your startup? Like, besides just putting your
Hmm.
process down on paper earlier, being a little more organized, was there anything you would
Yeah.
have changed when you were doing this whole go into business for yourself?
Yeah, this is something that is probably like okay, it's probably important to some people, but it's like I was so excited at the time. I wish I would have taken more time to go through a branding like process.
Hmm.
I actually put in a lot of work with my old college roommate, and she's a consultant, and just she's an incredible human being overall. But I sat down with her, and we kind of went through what is your mission statement, like kind of like that whole thing to like
Right.
build your brand. But I was so excited to like put all the pretty things on paper. I didn't really take time to build like a everlasting like forever logo from the beginning or
Yeah.
like a bunch of branding content. So I took like pieces of little things that I liked and just hoped it would all work out and like look good together, which it
Right.
does. But I wish I would have taken the time and invested the resources into like hiring someone from the get-go to like create me a whole branding package that was fluid, cohesive, and honestly like everlasting. I wish that was something that I would have like really put my heart and soul into, but I was so excited. I was like, oh, I could do this on Canva or like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever. Honestly, I think my very first logo was from a freaking app called Word Swag. What?
It was. It was.
What?
And you had me trying to find fonts.
Uh-huh.
And I was like,
Exactly.
let me
Uh-huh.
Google. We got to do
Yeah.
some digging, but we
Yeah.
found the font.
Yeah. And it was like my best friend came up with this. She was like, something like this. And I was like, perfect, that works. But like instead of taking her something like this and
And
making it something
personalizing it.
real,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this works. Just slap it on a piece of paper, call it my logo.
And that is true because that even happened to me. Obviously, when I first
Yeah.
started beauty school at TCOB, I had one vision for Beauty Buds as a brand. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me start looking at it. And then when I got further along, I'm like, shit, that brand is not going to print well, like we found with your banner. For like
Right.
a banner, it's going to
Right.
be shit,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I also agree. I think I'm at that point right now where I'm like, I need to get with a great photographer that branding is their specialty because
I have some
obviously
for you.
I know I'm going to pick your brain because just like you want to go to a wedding planner to
Mm-hmm.
plan your wedding and not, just a
Right.
random person, picking those people to put those resources into
Yeah.
place for your branding matters tremendously
It's
because if somebody
important.
has only photographed weddings, they're not going to know how to do a styled shoot. And until I was following you and your journey, I was like, what the fuck is a styled shoot? And I'm like, oh, they just pretended to have a ceremony
Yeah.
so they could
Yeah.
showcase party rentals and planning and,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, damn, I need to start doing that because I'm tired of using stock images on like my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but I will say like your whole like vibe is very cohesive. Everything matches. It looks good. And I think that it has a lot of longevity. I'm no branding expert. I can plan an event, but I'm just saying like seeing everything together, it looks really good. But I wish I would have been more patient. But I was
Yeah.
too excited to be like, I gotta get going. I gotta, hit the ground running like right away. When I kind of wish I would have sat back a little bit more. I kind of
Yeah.
just felt like, oh, I'm so behind. I have so much ground to make up anyway to begin with. But it's okay. I have great friends like you that can whip a logo out of nowhere.
Right.
And now that's my forever logo. So I'll keep that forever.
Yay. And so kind of playing on the doing like a branding,
Yeah.
how important do you think it is to have an actual website versus just social media? So obviously people book consultations and book you
Yeah.
for their events just like they would book people in the beauty business for services. So a lot of people, like especially right before we graduate, they're like, "Oh my god, you bought your domain name, like you're going to have a website. What are you going to put on
Mhm.
your website? What are you going to do?" And so some
Yeah.
people obviously starting out, do you feel like you definitely should have both? Or maybe the website is worth more of putting your resources into instead of just social media? Like, how do you feel about having
Yeah.
a website versus social media?
So it's hard. Websites are like we're kind of in a weird place, right? So I know from a wedding planning, I really from a wedding vendor standpoint, um, most people, and I can imagine this would come for the beauty industry as well, right? Most people find me on social media, then
Mhm.
they go to my website. And that is what is like kind of the closer to have them book a consultation. So I feel like it's really easy for anyone to see anything on Instagram. And
Right.
a lot of people go into that with a mindset of like, is what I seeing is it real or is it not? Is it, social media is really tricky. You don't know what's real and what's smoke and mirrors. So I feel like people kind of get initially drawn in from social media. And then if you have a website for them to go to, that's like your opportunity to have them get to know you personally. So I find a lot of times people that have visited my website are the ones telling me, I saw you on social media. I went to your website and I read all about you and it just like captured me and I felt like it was a good fit. So I really wanted to talk to you. And that speaks so much. That speaks
Yeah.
volume to me because I put so much of my blood, sweat, tears, heart, and soul into the copy on my website. I wrote it all myself. I have no idea how well written it is, but there's a lot of
I mean,
a
it
lot of
looks beautiful. Your
personality.
website is very beautiful on there.
But the words on my website mean more to me than what it looks like because I really truly put my heart and soul into trying to get people who visit my website to understand me, my process,
Mhm.
and why they want to work with me. And so, in writing that, I tried really hard to make sure that it was really personable and people could kind of get a little chuckle here and there because that's like who I am, right? If I'm
Yeah.
not cracking a joke here and there, like, that's my personality. So I
Right.
really tried to get my personality through. And honestly, I get a lot of feedback that people tell me, I saw you on social media, I went to your website and it drew me in. Like I had to talk to you. I felt a connection in reading your website. And honestly, that's like the biggest compliment in the world. So I think websites are super valuable because I think it's your opportunity to pull in those clients who may be on the fence based on who you are. everyone
Mhm.
can get the same good products, right? Everyone can
Yeah.
buy top notch, top tier. You could use the same freaking face cream as Kim Kardashian, but
Yeah.
the person putting it on you is not the same. And I
Yeah.
think that when you're a business owner, ultimately you're selling yourself. You're selling your personality. That's what makes you special. So I think websites invaluable, and they're expensive, and there are templates. I little name drop here. I have affiliate codes. So if anyone's looking for a website template, I did mine through Elizabeth McCravey. She's got a lot of great templates. You can use code JROB for 20% off.
Oh yeah, we'll
But
put it in the show
yeah,
notes for you
yeah.
guys.
But truly those are just invaluable. They're a little bit pricey, but that is a lifelong website template that's like done for you. You get all of the fonts, you get all the colors, all of that kind of stuff. So everything that I did on there, I purchased that template and then I just made it my own. So it was a little bit easier. But all of this to say, spend the money there.
Yeah.
Pay for a good platform that's gonna, do all that for you, and you're gonna be able to customize based on you, and then go down the SEO rabbit hole. It is so important to know
Mhm.
how to come up in those top Google searches and stuff, because when you type in Tucson wedding planners, guess how many come up? A lot.
Yeah.
So it's important that you're one of the first that are seen.
That is true. And that's something that I was even like on the fence with a little bit. Like I bought my
Yeah.
domain and then I was like, okay, then where do I go from here? Like my website just
Mhm.
doesn't work. I can't click and a page pops up. No, that's all coding and templates and stuff that like you have
Right.
to get.
Right. So
But
when I bought my template from Elizabeth McCravey, that was done for me. And it's
oh,
truly
so
like, it's
nice.
just so nice. I use the platform Show It. Show It is honestly like, it's incredible. I think the other one, like a lot of people do it do their blogs off of, what is it? Word something.
WordPress, I think, or
WordPress,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like WordPress used to be like the website, platform to like go off of and all that stuff, but Show It is incredible. Incredible, and it's just a monthly subscription, and I just pay monthly and keep it going, and I can honestly, if I had to walk my mom through fixing my website for me, I could, because it's that user friendly. It's just
And that's
incredible.
huge too.
It's
'Cause
incredible.
like a
Yeah.
lot of us are business owners, but we're not like coders for
You're
websites. We don't know
not.
how to make all
No.
that stuff be fancy and
No.
clickable or whatever.
Yeah.
So I know
So
that
you
is
can
one thing.
customize. Yeah, you can customize without having to code. Sorry.
That's nice. Because I know that's one thing that I'm looking at doing right now. So far, I've elevated and
Yeah.
upgraded everything, like my booking site and stuff like that. And then me and some of the girls were like, well, do we really need like a website? And I was like, well,
Yeah.
kind of, because your social media is
Yeah.
a feed of like
Right.
highlights, right? But you can't really speak
Yeah.
to people unless you're doing reels. And even reels, like even if they're 5 or 7 minutes, most people watch them on average for 30 seconds to a minute.
Right. Right.
So your website is going to be more personalized to you to give people like a true
Yeah.
glimpse into like whatever service or products you're specifically offering.
Yeah. And to
So,
who you are as a person. I really truly stand by like people by you. They're
yeah,
like, I want to work with Heather because she's Heather.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you heard it from JROB. You've got to invest in your branding
You
and your
do.
website. And I will make sure I put her affiliate information
Thanks,
for
friend.
the website stuff so you guys
Yeah.
can get that discount code.
Really
Um,
helpful.
so you mentioned vendors and vendor list. So tell us all about what a vendor list is for
Yeah.
people in event planning and how do people like us get on those?
Yeah. So I always tell my couples, like, I hold a preferred vendors list. Probably any wedding venue that you go to is going to hold a preferred vendors list.
Right.
A lot of the vendors in the wedding market, everybody holds a list, right? And that list is just that. It's preferred vendors that they prefer to work with. So I tell my couples, you are by no means required to utilize the people that are on this list. They're just people that I've had a great experience with. And I feel comfortable sticking my neck out and like recommending them
Right.
to you. So from a makeup artist standpoint, I like something that would get me to recommend someone is having been able to work with them before and know that they were on time, the quality was great, Their makeup didn't melt off in the heat because
Right.
we're in Arizona and that's a big deal. You know,
Huge.
and sticking to a timeline, being easy to work with. You know, I think it's hard sometimes for people to let go of certain details. And, you know, sometimes depending on your profession and where you are in the process, like you want to own X, Y, and Z. So I think being flexible, right? Going back to that word
Right.
fluid and flexible with other vendors and timing changes and this, that, and the other thing is super helpful. But yeah, just, you know, the people that are on time, are professional, are consistent, those are the ones that end up on preferred vendors lists.
That is definitely a huge little golden nugget for people.
Yeah.
And I've been telling a lot of my friends because they're like, how are you networking with so many things? Like, I always see you've got like your podcast and you're doing your beauty bud
I know,
stuff. And
girl,
then
you're exhausting. You exhaust me.
I was like, well, if I'm having downtime in between clients or days when I'm not booking clients,
Hmm.
I still have to be busy. I'm just one of those people that like I have to always
Yeah.
be busy. And for me, it's kind of about like staying relevant, right? Because the beauty
Yeah.
industry is all about what is the hottest trend,
Yeah.
who's got the best services and equipment right now, what are we doing for our skin? Are we rocking the glass skin and looking like
Right.
a glazed donut, you know, or what's going on in it? So if you're not making sure
Glazed
that you're
donut.
staying relevant and like up on beauty trends, people
Yeah.
like it's very easy. It's very easy to be forgotten or overlooked, especially in the world that we're in with social media and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I know I look to always build good relationships with everybody. And I'm always like,
Yeah.
you never know who's going to be laying in your facial bed. Like,
You
they could
never
be
know.
like, they could run a resort here in town. They could own
Hmm.
their own business, maybe that does stationery. And now you can partner up and book
Yeah.
the same weddings and events together. Like, you just never know who you're going to come across to meet. And that's one of the reasons
Yeah.
I like being in a business that works with people like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And same thing with like what you're posting and sharing on social media, right? Like I'm a big believer in like community over competition because
mhm,
you like hype her up, hype him up, like hype up your, you know, community members because you never know who that post is going to reach. And you never
exactly.
know like who's going to see what you're putting out there. And you never know what other people are going to put out there that you're included in and who that's going to reach. It's wild. Like you don't know. So I don't know. I'm big on hyping the people.
Yeah, me too. Sharing posts, liking things, clicking, all
Yeah.
of that stuff is good. And I always tell people whenever you get like an event, if it's your first time working it, like you don't have to be terrified. But coming from a wedding planner, what are some things that are
Yeah.
good for the hair and makeup girlies to always make sure they bring with them the day of in their kit something that you have whipped out and been like, I got you, girl, because I know you got your bag of your emergency stuff.
Oh, my
So three
emergency. Yeah.
items that they
Mhm.
should be bringing if they are doing hair and makeup
Oh my
at an
gosh.
event.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I feel qualified to answer this question. But you know, I know that later in the day, things that you referred to like my emergency bag. It's like we've progressed past the bag now. I've got like Tupperware boxes. Like it's disgusting. I have to have a wagon to pull my yeah. Anyway, it's like a first
It's
aid
called
tent
being
in World War
prepared.
III. Okay. Yeah. It's like a World War tent, like one of the first aid tents. Anyway, aside from my first aid situation that I constantly carry, Q-tips are huge, like massive, 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 like so unbelievably utilized. It's crazy. And we're always using them to like dab tears and dab like tears and just to like, you know what I mean? Without like smudging anything.
Yeah.
I carry tissues. I carry like the Neutrogena makeup wipes. Those come in handy. I think from a makeup artist standpoint, um, God, I don't know. Because by the time I get there, it's like done and everyone's pretty.
I definitely think that the Q-tip thing is huge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that we would have brought them, but to be like, let
Oh,
me
I
bring a
get one too.
plethora of them, you know,
Yeah.
let me give this to you in case you need it.
So that's what I was going to say. So actually, now that I'm thinking back, than thinking from a planner standpoint, I'm thinking of when I was a bridesmaid and I got my makeup done. Okay. And who did it? It was House of Dreams. They did my makeup for one of my very good friends' wedding. and they sent everyone with a tiny little like to-go bag. And in it was like the tiniest little pod of setting powder. There was some
Ugh,
like oil blotting sheets. There was a little sample of the lipstick that they used. And then there were Q-tips.
that is genius. See, it's
Oh,
stuff
and
like that.
a lash spoolie.
See, it's stuff
Mhm.
like that that like you just don't ever really like think of
I would have
until
like, yeah. And honestly, that was so clutch as a bridesmaid. Like it was so, first of all, it was super unexpected. It was such a nice touch that they like
yeah,
thought about that. And it like I think we all used everything because again, it's Arizona and it's hot as hell. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But that setting powder, I think we all used that setting powder later in the day, and then those oil blotting sheets and just like little things that like help you get through. So like when you're freshening up. So like if you have downtime in your wedding day, or you know, in your bestie's wedding day or something like that, and people are saying like, oh, I'm going to go freshen up. Well, like, what the hell are you going to use? Because
yeah,
someone else did your makeup and you don't have any of that shit.
yeah, that's true. So definitely a little to-go kit. I
Yeah.
think,
And it
I
doesn't
think,
have to be big or expensive or anything like that.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think Georgie and Analia
Mm-hmm.
gave that for me too. But I
That sounds
think,
about right.
but I think mine had my lip gloss,
Mm-hmm.
some oil sheets, and there's
Oh,
something
you know
else.
what? And you know what Georgie does too? That's like my absolute favorite is she gives you the makeup sponge that she uses on you, and
Yes.
they're the best, okay?
Yeah.
Full like we're not gatekeeping here. You can get those on Amazon. She told me this, okay? This is coming straight from her.
And we'll
You can
ask her
get them on
next week
uh-huh.
because she'll be on.
They're the best. I don't care what Rare Beauty is telling you you need. You need the 6 for $6 on Amazon. They're like
Amazon.
the paw whatever they are. I want to say it's like it says like AOS or something like that. I honestly I couldn't even tell you because I'm
Yeah.
not a makeup girly, but they're hot pink. They're the softest, most incredible makeup sponges, and they're cheap as hell. And those are the ones you need. You don't need anything else. I don't even want to hear it. Beauty blender. No,
Yeah.
get the cheap ones. They're
And
so good.
that is a good thing too, because it's like you're just gonna throw the sponge away.
You're throwing
Give it
away.
to the person you did the makeup on
100%.
so they could touch it
100%.
up if they have a horrible crying moment or they're just melting
Yeah.
because now it's 60% humidity.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
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 I
She's
had
great.
that I had that written down as the aftercare kit, but I forgot that she gave you the sponge.
She
So
does. Mhm.
there we go.
Yeah.
I already put that in my little notes to ask her about.
Yeah. And then you can like use that for uh probably less than amount of time that I use my stuff. I'm disgusting, but like I think you have to throw those away at some point, but I just keep using them till they rip. It's so bad.
I
Don't tell
mean,
Georgie. Don't tell her.
I do it too because I get lazy and then I'm like, what am I doing? I have the shit to clean this stuff. Like,
I
but
know.
I end up being lazy on myself because I
Like the
just,
cinematic or whatever. Do you have like that blue, what is
oh
it
yeah.
called? Like cinematic or whatever. That stuff. I've gone down the rabbit hole on TikTok just watching people clean their brushes. Why? I don't know. It's beautiful. What?
It's very therapeutic because
It
you
is
see it filthy
very,
and then you see it nice and clean.
yeah, I love it.
Instant gratification.
Living for that. Yeah. So anyway, that was my PSA on makeup blenders.
So that's good. That's good. Having a
Yeah.
little emergency things on hand, bringing a plethora of Q-tips,
Hmm.
maybe being able to offer something like a little to-go kit with some setting powder, or blotting
Yeah.
sheets, or whatever. It's little things that we don't think about that stuff until you have a use for it. And you're like,
Yeah.
dang it, if I wouldn't have left that like at home on the shelf or whatever.
Yeah, and the lipstick that they use, like I don't have that color. They didn't use my lipstick. So like a lot of makeup
Hmm.
artists will give the bride their wedding day lipstick. They'll give them a full brand new tube. Like it's like kind of their like gift to the bride. But if
Yeah.
you're a bridesmaid, and they put a special color on you that you don't have, you can't touch that up in the day if you need to.
Yeah.
So little teeny tiny tube of that, like where you've maybe got two more applications out of it, like
Hmm.
so handy. It was so
And
nice.
it's
Such
so
a nice touch.
thoughtful. And
Yeah.
I think you're big at doing those thoughtful touches when you're doing your wedding planning. And so I think the people who tend to do really well
Yeah.
in the beauty industry and the wedding industry, it's when you take that little extra bit of time to just
Yeah.
do something thoughtful for the people that are sitting in your chair that you're doing these services on. So
Hmm.
that's also a really
Yeah.
good thing. So
Agreed.
now the last two questions before we let you get on with your day. So would you say having a huge following on social media is a big factor? Like, I know you have your preferred vendors list, but let's say maybe the bride on there is like, oh, she's out of my budget. That person I had a friend who had a horrible experience with. Who else do you have? Or what are some other people? So then you start looking through stuff. Like, is having a big following in social media something that's super important when you're looking at from like the referral end of things, or no?
So from a referral standpoint, yeah, I mean, if none of the people on my, because we also run into availability, right? That's a big thing too, where
Mm-hmm.
you run into issues with availability, and maybe your preferred vendors, if it's a really popular date, there's a good chance if you're booking later than normal, they're gone. They're long
Right.
gone. And that's fine because there are plenty more incredible people. And I recommend people that aren't on my preferred vendors list all the time. And yes, to answer your question, social media to me does play a big role in that, because I tend to circle back and kind of search for people that I've seen that have a specific style, or whatever, maybe a good style or personality match for my couples, because I'm really big on you know I have these people that I work with that do a great job, but I don't want to only limit myself to partnering with them. I
Right.
want to bring to my clients and my couples who is the best personality and style match for them. I
Right.
want that to be an experience for them. It's not my experience, it's their experience. So I'm really big on that. And sometimes, the people that I have on my preferred vendors list that just kind of like live there, aren't a good match for those specific couples. And that's okay. There's some quirkier people, or, whatever it is, super, super high end that maybe don't even come from Tucson, and that's okay. But I do often refer back to social media as my way of kind of getting that in front of my couples, because realistically, at the end of the day, your Instagram is a portfolio. It's your portfolio,
Yeah.
right? If you scroll through my Instagram, it is all professional pictures of weddings that I've done, because that's the first thing people are going to look for. They're not going to come on there, and they're not going to my Instagram to search for, and maybe they are wedding day tips, like maybe they are, but for the most part, my Instagram is like a portfolio of my work.
Right. I find that you do really well at dividing the things you do across your platforms. Like your TikTok is more your wedding day tips and your
Yeah.
fun, quirky side of you. And then your Instagram is very professional. It all looks very, what's the word? Curated. It looks very
Yeah.
curated. It's done nice. It's cohesive. And it's all about wedding planning and special days, which
Yeah.
is great. So I was actually talking to a bunch of people that I went to school with, and we were all talking about our social media because our
It's so
instructors are
hard.
like, today it's day one, you're going to make a social media account. Today is the first day that you really need to think about, what is your business name going to be? Is it something you can live with
Yeah.
and live in? You don't want to change it 52 million times. And some of the
Yeah.
girls are like, but do people really like look at your social media to like book you? And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
It is the quickest way somebody can decide if they
Yes.
want to work with you or not. And
Yeah.
so
And I
a
get inquiries on
nod,
Instagram all the time too. Yeah. Kind of same thing.
yeah, and a nod to what you're saying earlier,
Hmm.
investing those resources in your
Yeah.
branding, because I'm like at the point now too where I think like I need some professional photos. I need to do a styled branding shoot and have somebody come in while
Yeah.
I'm working on and just creating content, because one, I don't want to show the same clients who are okay with being shown all the time. I want to be able to show diversity, and also professional photos are just night and day different. You can
Yeah.
take some really great stuff on iPhones these days.
You
I
can.
will admit that. You
I
can make
can't.
them look
You
nice
can.
in Canva, but there's nothing that you can say bad about a professional photo unless you have a bad
Mm-mm.
experience. But professional photos, they just look better. They
They also
speak
make you feel
volumes.
better. They make you feel
Yeah.
better. Like I look at my any professional headshots that I've ever had done by some of my most incredible and appreciated like photography friends, and I look back and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
like they make you like almost hype yourself up. So it's a
Yeah.
confidence boost too, and I think it kind of goes back to the age old saying, like, look good, feel good, do good type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree too. And so to leave us all with a little takeaway, just speaking to all of the women in business, What have been some helpful things for you that have kind of helped you do all the things it is that you do? Because you're a mom, you're a wife, you're
Yeah.
running your own business, you're doing all these different things. Kids have practice and school stuff and all of this stuff, and still find time to be able to balance vacations and taking time just for your family day. What are some things that
Yeah.
you found in taking this journey to work for yourself that really helped you to stay grounded, to be able to just keep your shit together some of the times?
Yeah.
I mean, no, we all have moments where we lose our shit temporarily for a minute here and there, but like, what are the things that you found super helpful?
Again, if you ask my husband, I'm always losing my shit. Okay. Never do I have my shit together ever. However, one of the biggest things, and I think that this came, in the very beginning for me, coming from a sales background, I started with an Excel spreadsheet. And one of the biggest things one of the first things that I started was I need somewhere to keep like all of my clients. Like I need a file system type thing to keep them
Mm-hmm.
in. Well, weirdly enough, I don't know what I'm doing in Excel. Okay. Like that's
Me
weird.
either. I have to like Google how to make like a drop down happen for me
I
in
can't. I
Excel.
follow
It's bad.
TikTok accounts. I follow TikTok accounts that teach me how to use Excel. It's so bad. So anyway, I was like, well, the Excel spreadsheet isn't going to work for a CRM. So I went down the rabbit hole and I found I utilized Dubsado. Dubsado is a customer relations management system, and that is honestly, if I could recommend anything to anyone in any type of business, and I swear to God, this works in, I don't care what you do for a living, this
Right.
system will work for you. Dubsado is a CRM. It keeps all of your clientele organized. It keeps it all separated by dates, so you're not double booking. There's a scheduling tool.
Mm-hmm.
You can send scheduling links, payment invoice links, all of that stuff straight from the system. There's workflow, all of that kind of stuff. But basically, that is my holy grail in keeping me organized. Of course, I have other systems that benefit me as a wedding planner, like Timeline Genius does my wedding day timelines. Basically, what I found was don't reinvent the wheel every single time.
Yeah.
Once, like the sooner I came to the conclusion that I don't have to redo this and start the process over for every couple, the better my life was. So I made templates and I made things that I can distribute to people and in a blank state, and then they can, curate that to whatever their process looks like, and I can help curate that to whatever I want their process to look
Right.
like based on where they are and where they need to go. But the CRM, honestly, if there's one system, one piece of software, something that I would say aside from your website to dump your money into, it's get you a good CRM, and it helps people to schedule with you, make sure you're not double booking, make sure you're blocking off dates that work for you, and go on vacations with your family and take that time for you because you deserve it. And something that I constantly remind myself of is because I get the guilt when I'm like, I don't have that date available because selfishly I'm keeping it for my daughter's birthday or my son's birthday,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? And it's in the height of wedding season because my husband, my daughter, and my son are all spring birthdays. So like,
Right.
that's fun. But selfishly, I keep those dates for me. And I continuously remind myself, this is why I work for myself. So I don't have to work on my son's birthday. So I don't have to work on my daughter's birthday. So I can take Easter weekend as a long weekend, or like whatever it looks like for me and my family. This is why I did that. And when I block those dates off, like I'm trying to really get myself to not feel guilty. But long story short, that system really helps. So I also have 20% off of just Dubsado. So it's a yearly subscription type thing, but same code JROB will get you 20% off of Dubsado. The thing that I really like about that system is if you want to trial it, you can trial run, and it doesn't give you like a 7-day free trial. It's a free trial to get 3 clients through the full process, as long as that takes you, whatever that looks like for you. So you really truly get to play around with it and see like what it all can do. You're not like bound to like, here's 7 days, best of luck, figure out the system and see if you like it. Like, that's like impossible in something like that. So yeah, it gives you 3 clients to like, you basically bring 3 clients through whatever your process looks like. And there's tons of training resources on how to use it, YouTube videos, all of that stuff was really helpful for me.
And then on there, can you also create like your own forms and waivers and like contracts and stuff?
Yes, you can. You can send out your pricing guide. You can have people select packages. You can have them sign contracts. You can have them pay invoices, all of that stuff. You can link it to Square. I think they have another payment option too, but basically it'll send you all of your money through there. Obviously, you have to pay fees. I'm very big on just pay your fees and write it off on your taxes. Like, don't go around it. Just pay the fees. Just do it.
Yeah.
It make your life simpler. I promise you, just pay the fees. Move on, write it off on your taxes. It is better for you in the long run. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's harder to kind of skate around that, and it makes it harder for your clients. But a lot of times, especially in the wedding industry, couples are looking to use their credit cards because they want points. And when you're
Yeah.
taking that stuff away from them for, because you guys don't want to pay the fees or we don't want to pay the fees, that's really
Right.
hard. And then it becomes an inconvenience on the couples because they're now limited to how they're paying for this wedding. You know what I mean? When,
Yeah.
kind
And
of all
that's
boils
even
down to that.
something too that I was looking at, and that's why I had to bite the bullet and just
Yeah.
pay for the gold standard for my booking
Hmm.
app, because I wanted to be able to put notes on my client or take a picture and be like, hey,
Right.
just came in today and had a little lesion. I'm going to take a picture of what it was before,
Right.
so I remember to check on it next time. And I mean, it's $50 a month, but it's worth it because I can do everything I need to do
Right.
when it comes to booking on there. And I just had to
Right.
bite the bullet. And even Ben, of all people, he was just like, just pay the fucking fee.
I
Just
know. It's
how
like
much
so
is
worth it.
pay the stupid fee.
I know. Shane too. Shane is like, my husband's the cheapest person in the entire world. I mean that with all the love, because if he listens to this, like, love you. But honestly, and all of the systems that made my life easier in this journey, he has been the number one advocate. I've been like, I don't want to pay for it. He's like, just pay for it. Like, it's going to
Yeah.
make your life so much easier. But yeah, I mean, going back to just don't reinvent the wheel. Find a really good CRM to keep you organized and keep your clientele organized and all of that stuff. And the nice thing about Dipsato is you can house clients and then you can basically divvy out like projects for them. So, from a makeup artist standpoint or an esthetician standpoint specifically, right? If you're booking repeat clients, you can keep them in your CRM and just like book different like projects under them. Whereas like maybe a bridal makeup artist wants to keep all of their wedding days in line, and then you can just individually
Mhm.
create projects for each couple, and their date and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you can assign it to your team. You can give your team members access and assign all that stuff. So that has been my number one like heaven sent, and yeah, it's saved my life.
And I also like too that you said a lot of us that are going into business for ourselves are going straight into booth rental instead of working at like a
Mm-hmm.
chain or something. You're doing this so you have the power to say no, right?
Right,
Because
right,
sometimes when you're working for other people, you're like, hey, I really need this day off and you need this weekend to
right.
not be working late.
Yeah,
They're the end all be all. You're doing it so you can say no, so you can block those
right.
days off. And that's something that I'm going to do today. But when we're looking at our month, a lot of the time we look at like, okay, I want to fill these days and these days because I want to hit this goal and this goal.
Right,
But then you forget, oh shit, that's a birthday this weekend. That's a camping trip this weekend. That's a weekend
right.
that my husband has a long weekend and we were going to do X, Y, and Z. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
when we're opening those calendars, just a
Yeah,
friendly self reminder for us
yeah.
all. Block the days that you need to take off. And if you're like me and you're always busy, block days to remind yourself to take a day off because it's
Yes.
okay to take a day off.
Yes. I have been known sometimes to block naps in my day. Sometimes and honestly, it all comes back to like the protect your peace. Like
Yeah.
sometimes your girl just needs a freaking nap. I got an 8-year-old and a 1-year-old and a business to run, and I am tired. I am
Oh, yeah.
tired. So sometimes we are blocking naps in our calendar.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And whatever you need to keep that
whatever you got to
sanity
do.
and stay
Yeah.
productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing I think in, doing this for yourself is simplify the process. Everything that you do, how can I make this simpler? How can I
Yeah.
make this process even easier? And then that CRM that I was talking about, it also does a workflow, so you can, once you get an inquiry, you can have the system auto generate a pre prompted email, and it just sends a response email for you, and it, all of this kind of stuff. So it's kind of an if then when format. So
Yeah.
like, if this happens, then send
Then what?
XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to set all that up. But again, do it once, let
And then
it
you never have
ride.
to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Yeah.
And that
It's
is
great.
helpful, especially for like estheticians and makeup artists when you have people that
Right.
want to schedule their trials and then you're trying to pick color
Yes.
palettes and you've got 52 million questions to ask them. To be able to do that service, having that CRM that can kind of help send those
Yeah.
questionnaires and surveys and forms and contracts for you is nice,
Yeah.
because trying to get like your liability waivers signed sometimes takes
Yeah.
25 attempts because they
Or
get
like
lost.
feedback, right? Feedback is really hard. I am like notorious for after wedding's over, I'm so tired. And I wake up the next day and I don't touch any of my technology. I don't answer
Yeah.
emails. I don't do anything because I'm protecting my peace type thing. It can wait till Monday, but your system can send a feedback form for you so that
Yeah.
before they forget, hey, leave me a Google review or like whatever it is, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
that's not one more thing you have to remind yourself of. Just simplify the process, baby.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed all of the helpful tips that Jess just gave us. I'm
I
going to
hope it was
put
helpful.
both of those links and
Yeah.
affiliate codes to save money off of the CRM. And what was the other one?
It was just a
The
website
website.
template. Yeah.
Yeah, the website template. Because I know all of us are always looking for ways to keep shit simple and
Yeah.
make life easier.
Mhm.
But I'm so excited you came on the podcast.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
having
giving
me.
me
This
this
was so
hour of your
fun.
day.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun. Anytime you just want to chat, I clearly get long-winded. So
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next time at the back bar. Bye bye.
toodaloo.